Now we're going to continue this video that we were doing in Acts chapter 10. So this will be Acts 10:2, and it will be in the seminary folder. So what we are doing this time is going to take a few more Bibles and use them as examples of how these things are translated. So as I've done before, first I'm going to take this expanded Bible and read you what goes on there. So this is that same Peter speaking. And it says here, Peter began to speak, opened his mouth. I really truly understand now that to God, every person is the same. God does not show favoritism or partiality. But in every county, nation, God accepts anyone who worships, fears him, and does what is right or practices righteousness. You know the message, word, that God has sent to the people of Israel is the good news that peace, anointing, proclaiming the gospel of peace has come through Jesus Christ, who is the Lord of all people, both Jews and Gentiles. Now, you notice that here? Every person is the same, or God does not show favorites or partiality. Everyone is the same in every country or nation. So that's how this Bible does it. Now, the next one we're going to take are these two of the Amplified. We're going to do the small one first, the Amplified Bible, in the same verses, 10 and verse 35 and 34 and 35. And this is the small Amplified, which says, Peter opened his mouth and said, most certainly and thoroughly, I now perceive and understand that God shows no partiality and is no respecter of persons, but in every nation who verify and has the reverence and fear of God and treats him with worshipful obedience and living uprightly and acceptable to him is sure to be received and welcomed by him, and so forth. Now, you notice that slight change where it says there is no partiality and no respecter of persons. Now that's different, no partiality, but also no respecting of persons in other nations. If you catch that, they fear and worship God as they should. Now, let's take the large print of the same one and see if there are any differences in the way it's worded. Here we go now. It says here, opening his mouth, Peter said, most certainly I understand now that God is not one who shows partiality to people as though Gentiles were excluded from God's blessing. But in every nation, a person who fears God and does what is right by seeking him is acceptable and welcomed by him. So you'll notice again we have something here where it says, no, does not show partiality to people as though Gentiles were excluded from God's blessing. So there's an example of what that partiality would be if there was partiality between persons. No, there is no partiality. So you see, that is the large print of the Amplified, and there is often some difference between both, as I've told you before. Now, of course, as you know, this is Acts 10. This will be number 2, and it will be in the seminary folder. But I will say something else, that I did a large study of this from notes taken from all kinds of biblical scholars. And one thing that's very clear, I want you to understand very quickly. The word taken for the person, no partiality to the person. Now, the word person can be very interesting. The word person can also mean not taken by masks. No partiality to the person or anything that is a mask. Very important. We will talk about that soon.